Inflation is a fundamental economic phenomenon that impacts everyone, from individual consumers to businesses and the government. It refers to the gradual increase in prices of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. While low and steady inflation is a sign of a healthy, growing economy, high inflation can have various negative effects. It's important to understand the diverse ways inflation impacts us. The basics of inflation. Inflation refers to the rate at which the general prices for goods and services rise and purchasing power falls. Central banks attempt to limit inflation and avoid deflation to keep the economy running smoothly. Inflation, or the general increase in price levels of goods and services over time, can be caused by various factors. Here are some of the reasons cause inflation. Demand pull inflation. This is the most common cause of inflation and occurs when demand for goods and services exceeds supply. It can be triggered by increased consumer spending due to higher disposable income, lower interest rates, increased government expenditure, or more lending by banks. When demand outstrips supply, prices rise, leading to inflation. Cost push inflation. Cost push inflation is caused by an increase in the costs of production for businesses. If the prices of raw materials, wages, or other inputs rise, businesses often pass these costs on to consumers through higher prices, leading to inflation. A classic example is the increase in oil prices, which can trigger inflation because oil is a key input in many industries. Built-in inflation. This refers to inflation that results from past events and persists in the present. It's often related to adaptive expectations, where workers and businesses increase their wages and prices because they expect the inflation rate to last. Expansion of money supply. Prices can rise if an economy's money supply grows faster than the supply of goods and services. Central banks control the money supply, and printing money excessively can lead to inflation. This type of inflation was famously seen in hyperinflation situations like Zimbabwe in the late 2000s. How inflation affects our personal finance. Inflation is a significant economic factor affecting our personal finance decisions, from our daily purchases to long-term investment strategies. While moderate inflation indicates a healthy economy, it erodes money's purchasing power over time. It is a significant economic factor affecting our personal finance decisions, from our daily purchases to long-term investment strategies. Here is how inflation affects our finance. Purchasing power. Inflation directly affects our purchasing power. As prices for goods and services rise, the money in our pockets buys less. This means we may need to adjust our spending habits, foregoing certain items or looking for cheaper alternatives. High inflation can make planning and budgeting more difficult as the future prices of goods and services become less predictable. Real income. Inflation affects our real income, which is income adjusted for inflation. If your income stays the same while prices rise, your total income effectively decreases because your money can buy fewer goods and services. Consequently, it may be necessary to seek a raise or additional income sources to maintain your standard of living in a high inflation environment. Savings. The impact of inflation on savings can be considerable. When the inflation rate is higher than the interest rate you're earning on your savings, the real value, purchasing power, of your savings diminishes over time. This situation might discourage saving and lead to changes in your saving strategy. Investing in assets that can yield higher returns to beat inflation makes more sense. Investments. Inflation also influences investment decisions. While it can erode money's purchasing power, inflation can benefit certain investments. Tangible assets like real estate and commodities, which tend to increase in value with inflation, can serve as a hedge against inflation. Conversely, the value of fixed income investments like bonds falls as inflation rises since the fixed interest payments of bonds are worth less in real terms. Retirement planning. For individuals planning for retirement, understanding inflation is crucial. The purchasing power of retirement savings can significantly decrease over time due to inflation. Thus, your retirement savings target should account for projected inflation to ensure you maintain your desired lifestyle in your golden years. Loans and mortgages. When it comes to loans, inflation plays a dual role. On one hand, if you're an existing borrower with a fixed-rate loan, inflation is beneficial because you'll repay your debt with money that's worth less. However, in an inflationary environment, interest rates tend to rise, making new loans or refinancing existing ones more expensive. Cost of living. Inflation increases the cost of living, affecting everything from grocery bills to energy costs, healthcare, and education expenses. It's particularly challenging for fixed income groups like retirees or those with stable incomes, as they face increased financial stress to meet their basic needs. Insurance policies. The value of insurance policies can also be affected by inflation. The replacement cost of insured items like homes or cars might increase over time due to inflation. Regularly reviewing and updating your insurance coverage is vital to protect you. Final thoughts. Inflation has a profound effect on personal finance. It is a crucial consideration in spending, saving, investing, and planning for retirement. Understanding the impact of inflation can help us make sound financial decisions and strategize to protect our money from its eroding effects. Remember, while inflation represents a challenge, it can also present opportunities for those who understand its implications and act accordingly. It can help you make more informed decisions about your personal finances and give you a better grasp of the broader economic climate.